that our responses to those difficult times and the joys we receive would be reflect your light back to the world. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you. Okay, the first order of business is to make sure we have a quorum. In Epiphany's bylaws, a quorum is defined as 10% of the congregation, which seems kind of low, but that's what the bylaws say. That's about 30 people. So do we have Fred here? Fred Applequist? There's Fred. Fred, do you see 30 people?
I see about 64.
Awesome. Okay. That's why he's our register. Can you confirm then that we have a quorum for this meeting?
I confirm that.
Okay. All right, and so we have a quorum, and we are in session, so we can begin. Here's our plan today. Basically, we're already on point 3, which is pretty awesome, right? I'll give a report. Associate Rector will give a report. We'll hear a financial report from Tom, and we'll also hear a report from Gordon on behalf of our mission committee. Then we'll elect new vestry members for the year ahead. The vestry is our governing board here, and we have 5 folks that have agreed to run for those offices, and we'll have that election. Then there'll be some time for some questions, and then we can conclude our meeting. So that's kind of what we're up to today. And again, my hope is we move through it in about an hour or so. But here's the wild card, me. My rector's report. And I just want to start. I wrote up my report as I always do, and we'll get to it. It's basically, okay, we're working on this, and this has happened, and we're looking forward to this in the year ahead. But I wanted to start by just saying that I'm really proud of this church. Beth alluded to this. This has been a difficult year. Most of the difficulties haven't been so much inside of our church, but around us. I remember when I came to this area, one thing that I was told that, whatever else is happening in the world, DC is in its own little bubble, and its economy is always going to be great, and you can just always count on that. And that's been true until this year. And that has brought a bunch of different troubles with it for many of us. I know folks have gone without incomes. I know some folks have lost their jobs in our congregation. This is a new kind of stress for us. And I just want to flag that, that has been part of our life. And what I've seen is when there is stress on the outside, well, guess what? Stress comes inside too. And this is what I'm really proud of. In the midst of all of that, I've watched this congregation continue to be true to its values, to its desire to be hospitable to its neighbors, to care for each other, to keep the main thing. And that's really big to me, because you know what? There are so many people that have so many ideas about what the main thing is, right? But what I have seen at Epiphany is that we have kept the main thing, Jesus. I just love, it's so hard to beat John 3:16, friends, That's the main thing. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life. And I've watched this church keep that the main thing. And I'm just so grateful to be part of that. It isn't always that way. As my parents like to say, churches are great except for all the people in them. And I'm glad that cynical statement doesn't feel like a true statement at Epiphany. Sorry for throwing my parents under the bus. They might be watching. Hi, Mom and Dad. Love you. But I am so grateful for this church and the way that we have kept ourselves, what I think of as grounded and centered there. And I just want to encourage us all to keep ourselves there in the year ahead. And I frankly also want to warn you, there will be all kinds of peoples and voices and even things in our life that will attempt to pull you away from that. But what we have here is really valuable. It is really valuable to do life with other people. It's really valuable to do Christianity with other people. Christianity is meant to be done in churches, friends. We need an individual faith in Jesus, yes. But a church is a non-negotiable part of being a Christian, and that does mean other people. Now, you guys are here, so I'm preaching to the choir, because people that come to annual meetings aren't the folks that are tempted to think differently about that, generally speaking. But it can be a tempting thought at times, because it is difficult to navigate relationships with other people. It can be tempting to say, well, I'll just go read my Bible by myself and do Christianity that way. And if that thought occurs to you, first of all, there's lots of parts of our culture that are going to try to have that thought occur to you. Secondly, just let me encourage you to resist it in the year ahead. We have a valuable thing at Epiphany, and we're doing Christianity together in a way that helps us all be better followers of Jesus. So that's the part I just kind of made up. Now I'll get to the part I actually wrote down, okay? So last year I began my annual report by outlining some things that I hoped we would work on in 2025. Now I do not expect you to remember that. I'll remind you some of the things I mentioned. I hoped that we would take a look at Epiphany's general health and ask how we might need to actually consider some changes for the future. I asked how we might do more to encourage evangelism and conversion at Epiphany. And I asked how we might invest in the discipleship of Epiphany's children in a new way. Those are three things that I outlined in the 2024 annual report. Now you might wonder, did anything come of that? I mean, lots of times people say stuff at meetings and it kind of goes down the memory hole and nothing really ever happens. But of course, because it's in my annual report, that means yes, something did happen, so we can talk about it. And I'm actually really glad of the various things we've done this year that have moved us down the road in those areas. Starting last year, our junior warden, Jeff Zimmerman, he convened and led a group we called the Church Health Team. And that group that was made up of Jeff and Aaron Soroka and Malou Tarabi and Linda Bassett and Ross Cummings and Margot Rash, they led us as we first took a survey. I actually like surveys when they're designed in ways that help you get information, put out by a group called Natural Church Development. So we took the survey, and then we said, okay, what does it say about us, and what should we do with the results? Now, first about that survey, I just want to thank many of you who took the 15 or 20 minutes to fill it out. I mean, everybody wants us to fill out a survey these days. I don't know if you've noticed that. So I do appreciate you taking the time to fill out ours. We needed something like 24 participants to have a statistically relevant result, and we had somewhere between 50 and 70. I don't remember how many participated exactly, but we had very high participation in that. And overall, the good news is the Natural Church Development Survey, it suggested that we're a generally happy and healthy church. Now, I'm not going to go detail on all of these things, but I will point out that average is the middle line, and we're mostly above average. Yay, us. Isn't that nice? Now, that's great, and it's always nice to know you're not doing a terrible job at things. But the way this process works, the way this Natural Church Development Survey, and then what they say to do after it with the church health team works, is they say, okay, okay, let me make sure all the buttons are plugged in. So what they say is, it's great to do well at things, but focus on the things you're not doing so well at, and look at ways to improve that. Now, one of the things that has been true about Epiphany for a long, long time is the thing we are least good at least as Natural Church Development looks at it, is evangelism. So that's our low bar right there. But there is some good news. We did the same survey in 2014, and we're less low than we were in 2014. So we're less least, as it were, at it. I'll talk more about evangelism later, but we did see some progress there. But before I get to evangelism, I do want to spend some time focusing on some of the other recommendations that came out of that church health team that Jeff convened, because they actually looked at all these results, and they said, yes, we know we struggle with evangelism. But then they said, let's look at the things that are next lowest. Let's look at the things that we could work on, that are next in line after that. And, if you look at that, one of those is empowering leadership, and the other is effective structures. We have a 54 and 55 on those. And they said, well, let's take a look at those things. And what that really meant was asking questions about how the clergy and staff do our work at Epiphany. And that begins with me. In short, they told me that I needed to delegate some things, and so I'd have more time for sermons, for pastoral responsibilities, and for congregational leadership. Now, I admit, this was hard for me to hear. I like doing the things I do. Maybe some of you can relate in your work how this is. But it also fit advice I had heard from other folks I had talked about where we were at Epiphany and asked them what they thought about our church. So I've made some changes in what I do, and that's involved some letting go on my part. Some of that is I let go of our weekly email newsletter and I also let go of our bulletin. Other people do those things now. Patrina's handling the email newsletter, and Jimmy and Mother Pamela make sure the bulletin is correct. I'm grateful to both of them, but those are things that I let go of. So if you have questions about that, don't talk to me anymore. I have also asked Pamela to take over this big, sprawling area of stuff that I just call worship logistics. That means I am no longer the guy to talk to about microphones and mission minutes and exactly who is going to do what where on Sunday morning. And to be honest, I love not being that guy. And I suspect a few of you may love me not being that guy too. I never had a lot of enthusiasm for some of these things. So I'm grateful to Mother Pamela for picking that up. And finally, I have given the leadership of our yearly stewardship campaign, the campaign we're doing right now. I've given that over to our finance committee. In the past, I've led that, and I said, and they said, that's kind of crazy. Maybe the finance committee should do that. And so I'm grateful to Tom and the finance committee for stepping into that role. But you know how it is when you make changes? There are other changes that need to be made farther down the line. And for us, the church health team recommended, and the vestry ultimately agreed, first that we asked Patrina to give us 5 more hours a week. So she was at 25 hours. Now she's at 30 hours a week. That gives her enough time to handle putting together the email newsletter every week. And I just have to say, Patrina's wonderful. Are you here, Patrina? Am I embarrassing you in person? Hi, Patrina, all the way in the back. Hi. I don't know how she gets everything she gets done in the time that we have to give her, so I'm very grateful to her. And the other big thing that came out of this really was kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. It was recognizing that if I'm going to ask Mother Pamela to do a bunch more new things, well, we need to help her have a few other things to do in another area as well. And we also had a sense that we needed to step up when it came to ministry to children. And so we, on the recommendation of the church health team, were able to hire Rebecca to be our first children's minister, probably, I think since Babette. It's been a long time, probably 15 years. So, yeah. So Rebecca's actually with the kids right now, so I'm grateful. She's at work. Mother Pamela will tell us a bit more about the things that Rebecca is doing, but it's just been really exciting to see her be able to begin that work and to have that extra time to give towards children's ministry at Epiphany. And I think we're already seeing some results from it, which is pretty amazing. And also, it was just an act of God that we found Rebecca. I cannot say, when I talk to priests and others in ministry, and I said, hey, I'm looking for a part-time children's minister that's good and is willing to come to our church on Sunday. They laughed at me. They're like, tell me when you find one, which makes sense. It's a very difficult ask, to ask somebody who you don't have a full-time job for, and you want to be spiritually mature, and you want them to change churches to work for you. And God sent Rebecca to Epiphany about a year ago, and so she was already here and willing to take on this role, and I'm just so grateful for that. Now I know, this sounds a little bit like inside baseball. We're doing this with the staff. This person's going over here. We're adding this thing. We're paying more money to do that. And I do want to just say, though, that even though that's the case, this is really important, and it does affect what happens at Epiphany in significant ways. And I also want to say, so far, it does seem to be working well. I'm grateful to be free of some of the things I'm free of now. I'm grateful to different staff members who have picked those up, so I can do that. My hope is, and I think that gives me time to be a better priest, and so I'm grateful for that. But that was just the first part of what the church health team recommended, and ultimately the vestry agreed to. The next part, well, it involves all of us, and not just the office staff, and it also involves changes on Sunday morning, even changes to Sunday morning worship times. Do I have your attention? I hear that enthusiasm. It's very exciting to me. I feed on it. So this is what we're doing. Starting on January 4th and continuing through the 8 weeks of Epiphany, this is going to be a trial run. We are moving the early service from 8 to 8:15, and we're also moving its location from the sanctuary to the chapel. So that's the early service. And I want to say that is a massive ask for people who come to the early service. We are changing when and where people worship. That's a big deal. So if you're part of that service, I just want to honor you and say, I know we're asking a lot as we try this out. And yes, we will see how it goes. So that's what we're doing with that service. The later service will also change its start time from 10:15 to 10:30 a.m. If I have learned one thing at church, it's never make a service earlier, always make it later. It always works. That's great. But not too late. If you get into lunch, you get into trouble too. So this is a fairly minor shift. But you may ask, so why are we bothering to make it? What's coming out of this? Why are we daring to mess with all of our Sunday morning sleep schedules, even by 15 minutes? Well, I'm glad you asked, even if you didn't ask. I'm just saying you asked. You see, our goal is actually to open up a time between 9:30 and 10:15 every Sunday when absolutely everyone at Epiphany, including our many musicians who just have not been able to do this, certainly within my memory, where they can attend discipleship classes, or we can have groups like this. For instance, our annual meeting. Next year, imagine this, instead of asking you all to stay after church, we can have the annual meeting between 9:30 and 10:15 between the services. Nobody will be doing other things, and then we can go about our lives. So it opens up time between the services for discipleship and for all congregation events when other folks don't have things that are scheduled on top of them. And it also creates a time when Epiphany kids can be gathered for special activities as well. So there's a lot that we think we're getting out of this. It will give us a way to do discipleship at Epiphany that absolutely everyone in the congregation has access to. That is something we haven't had before. Will this work? Will it be worth shifting both of our services and all of our musicians to different schedules? And shifting the 8 a.m. congregation to a different place? Well, right now, I don't know. But we are going to try it. That's the idea of going and looking at the season of Epiphany as a trial run. We will evaluate at the end of Epiphany for the coming year how that has worked, or if it has worked, and then decide whether we'll continue with the new pattern or shift back to the pattern that we're accustomed to. But that said, I am excited to try a change on Sunday morning at Epiphany. First of all, that isn't forced on us. I was actually thinking about this. We have made tons of changes about Sunday morning on Epiphany. We've worshiped at 5 different places in my time as your rector. We've done it at every time under the sun. We had our COVID schedule. We had parking issues. All of those things shifted our time. So we're actually choosing this one, guys. It's a little different, right? I'm excited to try a change that we're actually choosing for specific purposes that address a long-standing challenge, the challenge of making discipleship at Epiphany available to everyone, and to see what happens. You know, as they say, if you always do what you've always done, you will always get. I got different answers on that. What I was thinking of was what you've always got. Okay. So let's see. Let's see if there is something different for us to get out there. It's an experiment. We'll see what happens, but this is an experiment we're going to enter into in the season of Epiphany. This will kick off on January 4th at 9:30 a.m. by having actually an all-church gathering like this here in the fellowship hall, where we hear from Mother Pamela and our pilgrims to Turkey about their trip. So that'll be a chance for all of us to come together in this new way. January 4th, 9:30. We'll get to see pictures of Turkey and hear stories about that trip. So please plan to be part of that. Now, the next Sunday, January 11th, we'll be offering 3 adult education classes. There'll be a youth class, and there'll be activities for kids between 9:30 and 10:15 on Sunday morning. The adult classes will include one on the Trinity, taught by Richard Rash. I'll teach a course on Christian history, and Jim Boggs will teach a course on how we can be more effective evangelists. So look for signups for those coming up. But that'll start January 11th, and it'll go through the season of Epiphany. Now, Jim Boggs' class on evangelism, well, that brings us to evangelism again. What are we doing about that? Well, first, yes, we continue to work on training all of us to share the good news of Jesus. That is one of our I never really want to call it a vision or a mission statement, but that statement about what we're about, equipping every member to share the good news of Jesus Christ. We continue to work on that. We went to a conference earlier this year. A few of us were able to go to that. And we're doing things like Jim's class. The other thing we're doing is we do continue to look for ways to dip our toes in the water of our neighborhoods through events like the annual pet blessing, when we actually go out into a neighborhood. And this is important. I would love to identify more events like that to do in 2026. That is, I want events where we go out from church and we meet people who do not go to church, who might be receptive to hearing about Jesus in a setting that is comfortable to them, not just a setting that's comfortable to us. If you have ideas, let's talk about that. I am very interested in things we might be able to do. But I will say this, if you are an idea person, find the part of you that's also a doing person when you come and talk about your idea with me, because I will ask for that. But also this year, we had the privilege as a church of helping not one, not two, not three, but 4 adults come to either a new or renewed faith in Jesus Christ. In all these cases, people came to Epiphany through their family members, and then they responded when they heard the gospel here. It was really neat. Those of you who were at our Easter Vigil saw that when we had 2 baptisms and 2 renewals of faith at that service. Let me just encourage you. If you have friends or family who are hungry for meaning and purpose and God, consider bringing them here. We are getting better at communicating the gospel as a church to those who have not heard it before. And the next opportunity to do this will actually be this month. It will be on December 28th at our Lessons and Carol service at Epiphany. We make a point to present the gospel in a simple way that we hope is accessible to people who have not heard it before as part of that service. So consider bringing someone with you on December 28th at 10:15, the last 10:15 service, who God might be preparing to hear the gospel. Okay. It has been a year of a lot at Epiphany. I hope you kind of picked that up. But before we move on, I do need to offer some thank yous. And first I need to thank Mother Pamela. Friends, you probably have no idea how much she does to make Epiphany work and to help me not go too crazy. She's my sounding board. She is someone that helps me as I help all of us. She jumps in and leads anything that needs leading without me asking. I sometimes say, "Are you sure you can do that?" And she's like, "Oh, it's okay." And it's like, "Really?" But it is. And so I'm so grateful to you, Pamela. Thank you. You've been my... Pamela's been the associate here for more than 10 years now, which is awesome. And then, of course, there's Patrina, who we've already embarrassed. Hi, Patrina. Jimmy, our incredibly gifted and able music director. I was just thinking of that this morning as we made this shift into Advent and how our music through Jimmy supported that so well. And also... And also Rebecca, who I've talked about. This is really just a fun and creative and effective staff team. You were very well served at this church. I just want to acknowledge that. I'm also deeply grateful to Beth Monroe, who with some real arm twisting on my part, agreed to be senior warden again. You may not know this, but Beth was the senior warden when we built out this facility. So she has done the things. And not only is she willing to be a senior warden this year for us, but I think she's willing to do it next year too, because she isn't off vestry. So that's really wonderful. Thank you, Beth. And this year I'm also incredibly grateful for Jeff Zimmerman, our junior warden. He did take on the task of leading that church health team, and that really did shape many of the changes that I've shared with you this morning. And he did that with great patience and focus and if I may say so, a lot of long-suffering servanthood and a difficult rector to work with here and there. So well done, Jeff. And finally, let me briefly acknowledge again Deacon Sally Hoover and Amy Blancher. I think Sally and Amy may be here. Oh, hi, Amy. Sally. I see Bill. There's Sally. They served voluntarily for years here at Epiphany. I believe Sally served about 7, and Amy served more than 10. I was at 11. I don't remember. We had a conversation about this. A number. They retired a couple of weeks ago. And just thank you again for your service. And by the way, I didn't quite have it done when we thanked them a couple of weeks ago, but we are giving a gift to both of them. Sally is getting money for books as she pursues her education. And we are helping the Boncher family go on their next Disney cruise. So. It's been a while since I've run these numbers, but last time I checked, more than 100, somewhere between 100 and 120 people at our church. In other words, more people that are in this room have some volunteer role or another. This is a church that operates because of folks like them and also folks like you and what you give. We are so appreciative. That's what makes Epiphany work, is the time that you give it. So thank you. So friends, in my annual report last year, I said I hope to see some changes at Epiphany in the year ahead. I am not sure I imagined all the changes that we committed to when I said that, but I'm grateful for them. I think we are on a good course here that is aligned with what we're trying to do and be as a church. And also just simply this, friends, living things grow and change, right? And my goal continues to be to help Epiphany be a living part of the body of Christ, and that means growth and change. And by the way, Jeff kind of stole my thunder on this, but this year does mark our 40th anniversary as a church. I'm not sure what we'll do for that yet, but it does seem like potluck. There does seem to be a repressed demand for potluck around this place. So it could happen. If that's what you want, guys, we can have a potluck. But it does seem like some celebration is in order this year. We have seen God be faithful to this body of Christians through so much through these last 40 years. So I hope that you'll join me in the year ahead as we see what God brings us. I do ask, as we go into the Epiphany season and try out some new things, let's just see how it works together. Keep an open mind about it if it's challenging, and also at the same time, let's see what God might do through it. Thank you. Where am I? There we go. Okay. And now I'll hand things over to Mother Pamela. Here's a mic.
Mike. Hello. Okay. So I am excited about, can I hand this on?
Yes.
I'm excited about Rebecca Ing. Can you say I-N-G? Ing. And Rebecca with a K. Okay, that's going to help you. But I am so excited. I'm embarrassing her because she has a servant's heart who wants to do things in the background with the kids. But she has come forward. She has a vision and a dedication to our children's ministry. Being on the job for just 2 months, not even, she has already instituted the focus that the ministry needed. She is the primary teacher, which provides needed continuity from one week to the next, but others will teach from time to time. Scripture memory verses with incentives focus on the gospel of God's amazing grace, engaging crafts, all kinds of creativity. She makes these cookies by scratch. I'm like, why do you do that? Because this is her dedication, and so Rebecca, I'll let you go back to the kids and have fun. Thank you. She has spoken with many of the families already in person. creating new ideas that seem to pop up every time we come together. I'm so grateful, really grateful for the church health team for recognizing this opportunity to expand and improve the way the church comes alongside families to disciple our little ones. Now, she is a joy to partner with. And right now, you know, as she's back there, her activities in the red room, over there, these activities are well thought out and of the highest quality. So I really hope parents will partner with her and with me as we dream ahead of what January will bring during this Epiphany season, because this is what we're thinking about during this 9:30 to 10:15 time for children and for youth. Yes, I am asking parents to come and bring your children. Yes, to be here at 9:30. Okay, and while she focuses on children, I will continue to focus. I'm still responsible for the youth. So, and I know it's hard to get kids out and youth out the door, into the car, inside the church by 9:30. So I'm not committing about the children. I haven't really decided that, but one thing we'll do as a youth is that we will have breakfast, okay? We will do that here. Now, I am not talking eggs and bacon and grits and everything else, okay, because we don't have a full kitchen, but I know that kids get hungry, and teens, students, and we plan to feed them while we talk about who they are. Now, I plan to offer a variety of get-to-know-you kinds of surveys. Everyone loves a survey. Who am I? What color am I? What animal am I? What is this or that? So we'll talk about these things that are interesting to them, and at the same time, we'll segue into who does God see who we are. And I'm really hoping that the youth will come, that they will get to know each other even better. Most of these kids have grown up with each other since they were this high, but you know, things change. And so I'm hoping, praying that we can partner with the parents to get them here, okay? So yeah, we'll talk about the really deep things that they need to know in the midst of all of the differences that they navigate through a really complex world. I mean, the world is really hard right now. I mean, I can't imagine. So I promise to be practical, okay? And open, ask the hard questions. Come with hard questions, okay? So I do not plan to preach. So much more exploring, seeking, satisfying the answers that deepen and mature over time. So this is the call, this is the hope, and please let us know if this works for you, and if it doesn't, what would? Okay, that's if not this, what? Okay, if not this, then how are we going to help you? Because we all need help to disciple teens and children. Okay, so that's the focus. The children, I know, will come together and focus on fun and community, because these kids will also have Sunday school, but the youth tend to be in the service, and then they're serving in a variety of ways. So just a few highlights from this year with the children. I taught a first communion class for 4 the first graders, and some of them are joining us in communion. That's always fun. It is the parents' decision when they're ready for that. Activity bats, we continue to do that to keep the little ones active during the service. Let me know what works and doesn't work. Sometimes I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, except for I know that the stickers are a hit. Rebecca and I should always be recruiting for folks to serve the nursery and the preschool class. So we still need helpers as we work with the children. There's a reason Jesus reminded us that we should become like little children, because children teach us things. Have you noticed that? We have 38 children and youth right now. This year, last year I noted that there were 40, and that's from babies to teens within our congregation who call Epiphany home. Now, as we take up the mantle to care and teach children, we are aware that the children need protection. The child protection policy has a very simple rule. It's really so simple. 2 adults in a room when working with children. 2. The rule of 2. As parents, that sometimes means that you should not leave your children in the classroom if the teacher and the helper have not arrived yet, okay? That's going to be part of your responsibility. You might be that second person because it's not yet 10 o'clock, okay? So it is an important safeguard for the children as an accountability system. And you know I talk about this every year. So you're like, I've heard her say that before. I wonder why. Maybe it's really important to her. It is. And our parents are encouraged to drop in her classroom or activity to see what's going on. The more eyes that are on the kids, the better. The more we know what's going on, the better, okay? I want to say thank you to the dedication of long-term volunteers, people who have served for a long, long time. Andrea, Jeffrey, Leslie, Judy, Debbie, Jan, Scott, and Sally Eckert. We have also newer volunteers in Hannah, Marissa, Jessica, Stephanie, and Rachel. So this year, multiple Epiphany families were invited to do the pumpkin carving event. That's one of those ones that we talk about. Father Peter was talking about. You can invite others. We had 3 different families invite their friends to that. The Easter egg hunt, also a big hit. So think about that when it comes time for Easter. We're doing, even though we have like not a really nice area to go hunting for eggs, but we do this. This Christmas Eve service, the 5 o'clock service, is youth and children oriented. So being involved in that. You know, the other thing that I enjoy doing is working with the young adult. We call ourselves mostly millennials. David and I are way outside that category, mind you. Millennials, oh my goodness. But our kids are millennials. And they love doing things together. And so also date nights, okay? So they would love to go on more dates and have people looking after their kids. And we usually do this here. We sort of pick a time, but I'm looking for more people from our church who are willing to look after these babies and toddlers. Most of them are toddlers now. So the couples can go on a date. Last year I opened that up, inspired a few people to get trained. So this is another way. This is your recruitment time. Consider that, me recruiting you. We do meet every other Sunday at the Soroka's home in Chantilly. It'd be great to have a few people who want to help play with the kids. I mean, David and I have a blast, but, you know, we want to share that blast. That, you know, any of you looking, your grandparents or whatever, you want to look after these little kids. There are 5 of the toddlers that, who come together for Sundays. So that's every other Sunday. We do make, anyway. The point is, every other Sunday at 4 o'clock, consider, I wonder if it would be fun to hang out with those children. Well, talk to me. It's not up in the, you know, you don't do this spontaneously, but we could make that happen. And yes, it's been 10 years. Thank you.
So good afternoon. Is it on? Okay, thank you. So good afternoon. Hold it up. All right. Will you put up the, please? Yeah. All right. So all of this, none of this could be done without the wonderful committee I am blessed to chair, and I want to recognize them, and I want you all to give them a big applause. We'll start. Well, not yet. We'll start with Charlotte Monroe, our treasurer. Tom Will, is Tom here? All right. Maureen Middleton. Jim Humanick. And now this is a name you keep hearing. Beth Monroe. And another name you keep hearing, Patrina. And Peter. So also tied to this, yes. Oh. So, but also, we are required to give an audited report to our diocese every year, which is really important. And our committee, we have a committee, and they do a great job. Ellen Harrison, who's an ex-retired partner of KPMG, and another name you keep hearing, Beth Monroe. All right, so I won't take a lot of time, but the things I wanted to point out, as you can see at the bottom line, we were at $377,000 as a surplus. And that means that through you, God has really blessed us. And I want to say thank you. I feel like PBS after we go through all the donors. And it's because of viewers like you that we have done this. Just a couple of high points. Total giving was $972,000, which we were accounting about $914, which means we are at the bottom. We were $57,000 higher, which was 6.2%. As you can see, when you look at the numbers, look at December. December was incredible. That probably was one of the biggest Decembers I've seen since we came out of Hiddenbrook. I mean, that's how long it's been. Expenses this year were a little bit higher. The main reason was because of a great thing, additional giving. Whenever our contributions from you go up, we give more to the diocese. And so that's where some of that money went. The other piece to that is you'll see we also gave to Uganda Christian University partners, where we, for our Christmas Eve, had agreed to give them, well, the vestry agreed to give them, they doubled it, went from $5,000 to $10,000. Yeah, it's wonderful. And the other piece that was unexpected was Dominion Energy. So last year, Dominion screwed up and they didn't bill us for about 4 months worth of expenses. Well, they caught us this year, you know, and that's what happened there. All right, so let's see where we are for this year. And there's a couple of other numbers I'll give you. So, okay, so this is where we are so far this year. We are, as of October, you see that negative 5,300? Can you go back just for a second? Last year, we were at a negative 11,000. So this will kind of give you an idea that for the first quarter, a little over the first quarter, is starting out really well for us. All right, so now what we've had is where you see the total giving so far at $281,000. We were anticipating to have $269, so we're already ahead of our giving. Our expenses are at $286, and this time last year we were at $281, so you can see that we are doing very, very well. So anyhow, I think, now we'll do the budget. So let's finally do the budget. Yep, wrong way, one more. There's our budget this year. Now, the one I point out, everything that Peter and Pamela were talking about, we've actually budgeted almost $1 million. So you can see, and last year we budgeted $914, even though we came in at $972. So we are stepping out in faith, and we need you. We need you badly. But that's where we are, and that's the breakdown. And I know this is the most interesting part of the meeting, but I'll still stop. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
What part of that is the
It's going to be out into, is it outreach? Where's Katrina? Is it outreach? Yeah, outreach. And as you can see, that's over 10%. As Peter said in his sermon last year, our goal is to give over 10%. We want a tithe.
Half of that goes, about 5% of that is our gift to the diocese, and 5% we give to outreach and mission around us. So it's kind of 50-50 at $102,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have savings toward the next building or lease or whatever the next step is? At some point,
It has struck me it's time to start thinking about that, isn't it, guys? Just as a quick word, this is our situation here. We have 3 years left in our initial lease here, and then we have a 5-year extension after that. But when that 5-year extension comes, our lease rate will be renegotiated. Now, that's supposed to be a fair negotiation. It's not like the owners can just say, hey, we think you should pay this now. There are safeguards to make sure we pay market rate. But the short version is yes, we need to start thinking about this. It's on the docket for the vestry to pick up in the year ahead. Right now, the money that we have is not segregated. We have, what, $275,000 in? 280. 280,000. That is just unrestricted right now. We haven't started a new fund, but we have identified this year we do need to start seriously thinking and praying about what's next. So what I guess I would say is stay tuned. I would be surprised if we don't have something more to say this time next year. So.
Any other questions? Again, with a heartfelt thank you, thank you, thank you.
Missions. I am Gordon Coffey, head of the Missions Committee. Oh, cool. I hate this. He gets a wired system. We have to hold these things. I know. They're too close. I see you guys. You be perfect. It's be like 2 inches. A question's often posed is, we feed the poor, and Jesus said you should feed the poor. Why is that not enough? I mean, the Bible says feed the poor. Well, the Bible also says other things too. It says, first slide, please. Oh, there it is. You beat me to the punch. Bad, Peter. Why do we support missions, and particularly why do we support missions in foreign countries, in Africa and Asia, or Europe of all places? Well, because the Bible tells us to. Jesus specifically commanded different places. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations. We heard that in the service this morning. Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. Bring salvation to the ends of the earth. Not just Fairfax County, not just Virginia, not just the United States. All the ends of the earth. That's what we are commanded to do. Try to keep these people in touch with you so you can see what they do, see where your dollars are going, see the wonderful work they're doing. For example, Brian Nelson from SAT7 preached to us in June. Daniel Librick, who was quite hysterical, I thought, was here in May. And then we also do videos, short videos, nice, sweet, short. We played during the service. We had one from David Meeks in September. You saw one last year from a professor and his wife in Germany, I believe, who were talking about the work they do to spread the gospel. And Germany is frankly a pretty sterile, or you say a fertile ground. In some ways, it's pretty barren territory. Christianity is dying there. But then we have more pipelines more videos in a pipeline. We have one from Shade that hopefully we will see in the next few weeks, right, Mother Pamela? Okay, thank you. And we also have presentations, and these presentations are not from the actual people we support, but rather from people who've interacted with our supported missionaries. Last year, we heard from the parishioners who went to Uganda on Pi Day, which is, I think, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. They talked about their trip to Uganda and visiting Uganda Christian University, and their wonderful experience there, and how it was really life-changing for them. This January, we're going to hear from those of us who went to Turkey, who learned more about David Meek's work, but also about how wonderful it was to see what really was the birthplace of Christianity. You're going to say, well, wait, Gordon, Jesus preached in Israel. Well, but really the seeds of Christianity were planted in Turkey. It was Paul's work in Turkey that led to Christianity being spread elsewhere. So it really was a life-changing event for those who went to Turkey. People sometimes ask, well, what can we do? And you can change it now, thank you. First of all, it's prayer. Our church believes in the power of prayer, and frankly, all of the people we support are strong believers in the power of prayer as well. They are encouraged, they get hope from our prayers. They also, of course, like our money. But so you can consider designated giving through the church or donations directly to them. They also often have needs for non-monetary help. One is hosting. For example, I hosted Daniel Librick this year. I've hosted Stan Wallace in previous years. But there are other needs. Sometimes people come for conferences. There's a lot of times where they have need of lodging. And so if you're willing to consider that, please ask yourself, is something you're willing to provide? Sometimes the help is as simple as giving a ride somewhere. I gave a ride to the bishop from Sudan last year from one place to another. But an easy give, frankly, I thought. These are just examples, mind you. Helping foreign professors with publishing in English. You've heard the adage, publish or perish. That applies abroad as well as it does here. A lot of the professors who are Christians at foreign universities who are trying to spread the word in their home university need help with publishing in English. And so someone who may be a civil engineer, electrical engineer, who can help them write something in English, the assistance would be very well received. If you want to learn more, now you can switch it. I can arrange in-person meetings or Zoom calls with the people we support. We can do that between the services or at other times. And these missionaries or their organizations can talk more about what they do, and then they can answer your questions about what their work is, what their needs are, and how you can help if you're so inclined. Any questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
WFCM, you haven't mentioned that. Are we supporting them?
We are, but that's outside my bailiwick. I was told I can't touch them. No, the missions committee, and I've left out something, by the way. We are focused on really sort of missions evangelistic work outside the area. Other people handle like Hot Meals is outside the bailiwick of the missions committee. I should also mention on the organizations we support, we did give a gift to a woman named Lena Latavina, I probably butchered that last name, who does work in India. As you may know, India the Christians there are being persecuted almost as sorely as they are in China or Saudi Arabia or Iran. It's becoming quite bleak, but she labors to spread Christianity and to help the poor in India, particularly women. She's very keen on trying to help women set up self-sustaining businesses. We gave a contribution to her this year. We can consider permanent, or not permanent, nothing's permanent, longer-term giving if she meets our financial criteria. She's being audited in February. We want to make sure that, as I've said in earlier meetings, that your money is going to where it's supposed to go. So I forgot, Melanie Miller would shoot me if I forgot to mention that. Any other questions? Okay, it's on to the elections.
Can I change the slide now?
Yes, you may.
So another part of what makes Epiphany work is Ross Cummings and others, I see that hand, don't worry, and others who are willing to do stuff like string wires through our building. I don't know how many miles of wire are in this place, but it's not a small number. Linda.
Just before the election, can I make a brief angel tree announcement? Thank you to the 8 people who've already brought in gifts. That's a third of the people who signed up for the 24 children we're providing gifts for. 3 people took a child's name but did not sign up, so I have no way to remind you or see, and those gifts are not here yet. So if you're one of those 3, or you know who one of those 3 is, you could let me know. That would be helpful. And all the gifts are due in next Sunday. Thank you.
Okay. So you can take some stress off of Linda if you are one of those people by talking to her today. And I think with that, yeah, we are to the elections. I'd like to invite Jan Welch to come up and give a report on behalf of the nominating committee.
Get my notes out. Okay. My thanks first of all to the nominations. My thanks first to the nominations committee who helped me put together the list for consideration today. They were Melanie Miller, Beth Monroe, Jane Burkett, and I'm very grateful to all of you. We came up with a list of people you see on the board here. 3 people have 3-year terms: Kenny Daffron, Lisa Bear, and Walt Kobos. 2 people have agreed to 2-year terms: Jan Coffey and Greg Harrison. And in addition to that, I had to come up with a volunteer to help with next year's committee, and that person is Tracy Plummer. I'm very grateful to her for agreeing to that.
All right.
So.
I don't need two mics, right? I'm just going to luxuriate in my headset right over here. Where's Gordon? I'm enjoying it. Gordon, right here. I'm enjoying it so much right now. So where we're at is we have 5 open vestry positions. This happened. This is not normal. It happened because we had one person move and we had one person who was on vestry leave the church. So instead of our normal 3, we have 5. Part of what we are doing to try to keep that from having all the vestry terms bunch up into 1 year, where we had like 5 to elect every year going forward, or not every year, but on a regular basis, is we've asked 2 of those folks to run for 2-year terms and 3 to run for 3 years. Because we have 5 open positions and 5 candidates, this is not a contested election, which I know we're all very sad about. But I'm very grateful we have 5 people to fill our open spots. But it does mean we don't have to have a ballot if you so choose. Instead, what we can do is we can agree to elect them by what's called unanimous consent. And I'm going to assume that that's what we want to do, but I need a motion to that effect. Charlie moves. Is there a second? Linda, I saw that hand. All those in favor of electing our slate of vestry candidates by unanimous consent signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Congratulations to our new vestry members. Thank you for your service. And we are going to do the same thing with Tracy as well. Again, we have 1 open position and 1 person running. And just for clarity, what this is our nominating committee is members of the vestry who are finishing their terms, and then they are joined by 2 congregation members who are not on vestry. And the goal of that really is simple. It is to make sure the vestry doesn't become a closed body where former vestry members are always working to find the next vestry members, but to make sure the congregation at large always has a voice in that process. So that's what Jan has done and found herself in leadership. I'm so grateful for Jan this year. She just really carried this through to completion. What Melanie Miller has done, and we're asking Tracy to take Jan's place as she finishes up her time as the congregational representative. So I'll take another motion to elect, first. Lisa, thank you. A motion to elect by unanimous consent our vestry nominations committee member. Is there a second? Okay, right down here. We got Kenny Daffrin. He seconds. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you so much to Tracy for taking on that role. So we are almost done here, and I'm going to say that we're running a little bit ahead of schedule. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's not 1 yet. So this is just open time if there are any questions you'd like to ask. Or Merle.
So, several years ago, and last I remember was when we were at Dulles Technology Drive, it used to be vestry minutes were posted so the congregation could look at them. I'd like to see that happen.
Okay.
Secondly, since the demise of the Star almost 2
Yeah.
years ago, 2.5 years ago almost, there has not been a place where the vestry members are listed.
Okay.
And I was promised this time last year that
Yeah.
would happen by a vestry person, and it has not.
Okay.
I'd like to see that happen again.
So I think what needs to happen here is we could place them on a bulletin board. That's kind of the space we have. Vestry minutes are public, and that should not be a problem. I think what I will do is I will talk to Patrina and just ask that that happens. Because here's the situation. Vestry meetings are open. You can come to any vestry meeting you like, and vestry minutes are available. Patrina is the person that has all that. I do understand it's one thing, though, to be said theoretically a thing is available, and another thing to have it actually physically available. So how about this, Merle? I will talk to Patrina, and we will try to make that happen so it's on one of these bulletin boards out here. Does that seem fair? Okay.
It should also be identified on the website.
Okay, here's a problem. The more information you post on a website, the more you set people up to have phishing attacks, and this is becoming so common. I'm really reluctant.
I'm talking about on the members-only page.
We don't have a members-only page. What are you thinking of? Okay, directory is different. I don't know. I'll talk to Patrina about it.
They could be added to the direct, identified in the.
Yeah. Well, I think we could probably put a field on there, right? Like in the, I mean, you still, but then you, that, okay. How about this? Heard. There are some challenges. The biggest challenge we have is people that are listed in any capacity connected to this church on any digital platform face nearly constant attempts to swindle them out of things. Through emails, through other ways. That's why we list much less than we used to on the website. It's not that we are information adverse, it's just that we were making people into targets. And that was a thing that we did not want to do anymore. And frankly, if you look at other church websites, you'll see it's much less common to list these things than it used to be for these reasons. Recognizing though that, yeah, that does create a hole. We are certainly not interested in keeping these things secret from anyone. But the ways we have done this in the past had some weaknesses that we're trying to protect people from, particularly if they're agreeing to be part of our leadership. We don't like to set them up to be harassed for it, which is really what was happening. Aaron.
Yeah, so as part of the follow-up to the conversations we were having in the church health team, I've been compiling information for a ministry directory. It's been kind of put on hold a little bit because we had a lot of family crises to work through this fall, but I've asked a lot of you for information about ministries that you're leading and information, and so my goal is to have that posted in print in the sanctuary and then also in the app where it's protected by
Hey, this is great. This is where I find something's being worked on and I'm not doing it. I love it. Thank you, Aaron. So the vestry members can go in that? Okay. So I thank you. I'm really glad to know that's being worked on, and hopefully we'll be in a place where that story is better next year. Walt.
I'm happy to be listed on our website.
You're happy to do it.
Any harassing emails, I'm just going to refer to you.
But see, this is actually what happens. This is what happens is I get calls from people, did you just reach out to me? And it's not me. People will, and this is a thing to watch for, and I will just say this, I say it regularly, I will never, ever, 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 ever ask you to do something that has a monetary cost via email, frankly, just via anyway. That's why you guys give to the church, is so I don't have to do that, and I'm grateful for it. So you can assume that it's not me. The way they do this is they will set up usually an email address or a phone number somewhere, and then they will put my name in it. But if you look at that email address or phone number, it's not actually my email address or phone number. So that's the thing to look for. But it used to be that this would happen a couple times a year. Now it happens all the time. It's like just constant. They're very good at this. They only, it's one of these things, this is the world we live in. It's free, basically, to harass people. And so they can harass people all the time knowing that, hey, if only half a percentage point of people give in, well, that works for them. The math still works. So I wish it was not that way, but it is one of the challenges we face. Weirdly, it kind of drives us back towards paper in some ways, because it's at least you have to work harder if you're going to harass people via paper. So I don't really want to end the meeting there. Ask me some more questions. Yes, Faith.
What are the plans for music at the new 815 in the chapel?
We have an organ, and Jimmy will be playing it. And we do it sometimes at the Wednesday Eucharist. It actually sounds nice in there. My hope is, and I know it's hard, is I worship in the chapel every Wednesday. We have a Wednesday Eucharist there. I actually worship there most days because we have morning prayer in there. I actually find it to be a sweet worship space. I hope other people have that experience as well, even though it is a very different space than the sanctuary, and we recognize that. So, Linda.
One of the things that wasn't mentioned with the time change
Yeah.
is that the music ministries are going to be rehearsing earlier.
Yeah.
They're going to be rehearsing more like 9, and our challenge is we warm up our voices and then we go to Sunday school class or the lessons, and then we've got to sing. So we're going to see how that works too.
Yeah, and it's even worse than that, because one of the things we have to make sure happens is we have to make sure it's quiet for people that are in worship at 8:15 to 9:15. We cannot have, it's not going to work to have a worship service in there and have, a loud amplified practice in the sanctuary at the same time. We know that. So there's some real challenges here. We are asking a lot of musicians, of the 8 o'clock people who come to that service regularly to give this a try. It is asking for a lot of change. And we do recognize that some things are going to have to go right, and we don't know yet, to make it work. So my hope with that is we just give it a try, and we see where we're at. You know, my hope is it works, and this opens up this time that we can use in a new way. There is a bit of experiment, though. Yeah. Christina?
I'd just like to say thank you. I've been at this church for 35 years. I have never been able to join in fellowship and always been happy to
Yeah.
participate. It's just what we're called to do.
Yeah.
But thank you for considering it
Mhm.
and trying it out. I know there's lots of reasons for this, but
Yeah.
thank you for the position.
Well, thank the church health team. This was their recommendation, and the vestry for going along with it and saying we'll give it a shot. But yeah, and that's the hope, is this opens up something that we haven't had before. I mean, I am excited about that. But at the same time, yeah, it is an experiment. You try things. So, anything else to talk about, folks? Going once? Going twice? Going with 3.5 minutes before 1 o'clock? Okay, now, we still need a motion to adjourn, though. That's one thing I learned. Okay, Janice, I saw that hand. And second, oh boy, Faith, your hand was up the whole time, so you get the second. Okay, all those in favor of adjourning this year's annual meeting? Aye. Opposed? Okay, I forgot to adjourn the annual meeting once, which meant theoretically we were in annual meeting all year.